Hi everyone, welcome to this week. We are going to talk conditionals. All right, so we'll go over those things. Sorry about that. This wasn't updated. All right, so conditionals are essentially what you might call if-then statements. All right, so if something happens, then something else happens. And the deal with conditionals is that you've got a number of different combinations of verbs, all right, subjunctives, indicatives, etc. The good news is, for the most part, you basically translate the subjunctive, or the verb, I should say, the way it looks. So if we look at these examples here, all right, so if I praise my teacher, all right, he teaches me well. You have a present indicative, you have a present indicative, and they're both translated as present indicatives. If I go down to the example next, if I praised, he taught, you have a perfect indicative, you have a perfect indicative. All right. This is slightly. Sorry about that. I would have expected a different verb. You got a future and a future, so that you got a slight thing here where you've got a present indicative rather than a future indicative. Note that the present, if I praise my teacher, does imply future action, right? So really what you're saying is if I will praise my teacher, that's just sort of awkward in English. We wouldn't say that. So English reverts to a present tense verb, even though it's indicating future action. All right, so same thing over in the subjunctive, right? Laudarem, if I were praising, etc. So you've got all these fancy names: present simple fact, past simple fact, present contrary to fact, etc. Don't worry too much about those. The real trick is just translate the verbs the way they look. The major exception is the past contrary to fact, where you've got the two pluperfect subjunctives, and you get the one if I had praised, and then the other he would have been. Or you would have, depending on active or passive. So that's the one thing to watch out for, is when you have two pluperfects, then it's going to be had, would have. All right. Otherwise, kind of ignore a lot of the categories and the terminology, and really just focus on translating the verbs the way they look. The Latin word for if is si. There is no word for then. As in English, the then is optional, right? We don't need the then in English, though we can use it. Latin never has a word for then. All right, so the next bunch of slides is just going to be different ways of organizing this information, so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time going over it. I'll highlight some things. You kind of choose the one that works best for you. This is from your textbook, all right? So again, we've got this idea of simple conditions, all right? And then these are the verbs in the indicative. Excuse me. And you can look at the examples that say just what we said, right? Si egisti, if you did, translate the way it looks. You were wise fuisti. All right. Si agis, if you do. S you are, etc. All right. These are the subjunctive conditionals. All right. And then, as I said, this is the one to watch out for, the double pluperfect subjunctive. If you had, you would have been. All right. But otherwise, as I said, they are pretty much translated the way they look. All right. This is one thing to note, this special note here. So when you have aliquis or aliquid, all right, when it comes after these four words, it drops that ali prefix. So you'd have something like si quid, whatever it might be, and si quid is really si aliquid, because that ali drops out after C. It's a bit of an idiosyncrasy for Latin. Some people sort of read that quid, that quis quid, after the four words si, nisi, nomen, ne as a separate pronoun, a kind of more intensive version of the pronoun. You can categorize it however you want. But this little pithy saying is a good way to remember it. But this is one of those things just to watch out for if you run it. All right, and this is just a nice little chart. As I said, this is also from your book. I'm just sort of giving you different ways of thinking about things, and you can sort of choose the one that works best for you. But the most important thing is that I am translating them in the way they look. All right, so this is from sort of a handout / website. All right, and again, I'm not going to go through it, but if you prefer this, is the way it's organized, then it is here for you. All right, and again, it's got sort of the terms, the names for the different kinds of conditionals. We're not going to worry too much about those. I'm not going to use them a whole lot because I just kind of focus on meaning. All right, here is a fun real-world example. This is from Lesley College, which is in either Boston or Cambridge. I can't remember which. So this is their school motto. I'll include the fire alarm. Per isem ni per stitisem. And if you remember when we talked about conditionals, we said that this pluperfect combo is the one to kind of watch out for. And this is that would have had one. All right. The problem is this is the translation that they apparently posted on their gym wall. They kind of painted on their gym wall. And it's really not correct, which is unfortunate. I mean, if you read it, it doesn't even make sense in English, right? I had perished had I not persisted. Really, this I had perished, and that's the per isem, right? Really, that I had perished should be I would have perished. Excuse me. All right, had I not persisted, right? So persistence is what got me through tough times, etc. Right? So it really should be I would have perished had I not persisted. So unfortunate for Lesley College. I'm a little surprised, to be honest, but that's all right. So that's a good little conditional in action if for the wrong reasons. All right, so that's about it. It's sort of a lot and a little at the same time. As I said, there's really not a lot to know. It's just sort of getting used to just translating the verbs the way they look. So here are this week's summatives. All right, so we're just translating some passage. This is some modified Cicero. All right. So, servi me Hercule, me si me metuerent, ut te metuunt omnes cives tui, domum meam relinquere debere me putarem. All right, so we've got our conditional, right? You can see the C in there. Remember, that's our word for if. All right, and it's sort of postponed, but that's where we start. So, me Hercule, by Hercules, oh my gosh. All right, that's sort of a Latin exclamation. All right, if, C, so if my servants feared me. All right, now the ut is a little dicey because it's not actually the end of our conditional. It's sort of an aside. So if, my servants feared me as, all right, all of your citizens fear you, all right, I would think, and there's that subjunctive, and metuerent is subjunctive as well. I would think that, this is indirect statement, all right, note the infinitives debere and relinquere. The relinquere just goes with debere. I would think that I, all right, hold on one sec. Sorry about that, I got a little lost there. I would think that I should leave behind my house, abandon my house, meaning that they would, whatever, take over, they would attack, they would do whatever, right? So if my servants feared me, as all your citizens fear you, I would think that I would have to, should, abandon my house. All right, and I'll let you all pick up from there. There's the rest of it. And for this one, we're just translating into Latin. All right. Now, again, remember that you've got to think sort of holistically. So we see this would have fallen, right? You're not translating all those words that would have and had. Those are going to be two pluperfect subjunctives. So, Erps, city. All right. Per iset, C. All right. Hostess. Omnes domus templaque. I'm blank on the word for burn. There we go. Got it right down here. Conflagraviset. All right. Okay, let me point out a few things. So the subjunctives are the subjunctives, right? We need those two pluperfects with that would have and had. With the all the houses and temples, right? So domus, is a feminine noun, and templum is a neuter noun. And note the que here, right? Que, domus, templaque, is the and that connects them. Since the omne, since the all, is going with both of them, is agreeing with both of them, it essentially takes the form of, or takes the information of the noun closer to it. So it's omnes rather than omnia, because it is next to domus. Excuse me, if it were templa domusque, it would be omnia templa domusque. So again, when an adjective is effectively distributed to multiple nouns, it will take the grammatical information of the noun that is closer to it, in this case, domus. All right, otherwise pretty straightforward. All right, so I'll leave the rest for you. That is it for this week. I will be here next week. Email me if you have any questions. Thanks.